How's it going, everyone? This is Draco Backpack Sack 22 coming to you with my first video in about 3.5 years. The last video was my Gookie deck from Nationals from 2018. So, quite the long time since I last was able to get you a profile, but I wanted to profile this one just because I had a big role in coming up with the whole Hulk Shenanigan combo. And yeah, guys, I think it's a cool deck. Obviously, with the new format, Proto's gone. No one really knows how this deck will perform, but I think it is quite good. However, I think there are some deck choices that people might go wrong with, so I wanted to give my explanations as to why I'm playing the ratios I'm playing. And of course, you might know me from Bamani Lounge, so subscribe to my channel. Also, subscribe to my sponsor, Bamani Lounge. So without further ado, let's get into their profile. So to start off, of course, we have 3 copies of Incredible Ecclesia. So Ecclesia is your normal summon, so to speak. I don't like to break the rule of 3 normal summons, and you're going to be seeing I play less of the Sword-Souls that people usually play. So this is really what you want to start your combo with. It's also a tuner extender for you to be able to go into Hulk. 3 copies of it. Then for more starters, we have 2 Moye and 2 Taye. So a little bit weird as to why I'm not playing 3 Moye. I just didn't want to clog my hand with normal summons, which... like, I know you have to start playing the game, but now since Hulk is on the rise, and it is deemed as a viable way to play the strategy, I think that 2 is just more than enough. Because the last thing that you want is, like, a Moye in hand with, like, no other targets, and you're, like, playing through negates. I think Tai is just, like, the better one. And you want that card in your hand to be, like, a hand trap, or you want it to be, like, a floodgate or something. So you don't really want to, like, clog your deck with too many worms, and then you have to for Moye to be a good card. So it's a little bit weird. It's like this catch-22 where you have to kind of make your deck building worse to make a card better. And so that's why I wanted to play the 2 and 2. I would play 2 Taye, but I think the second one just comes up in the grind game, and I want to have it. So then for our final monster starter, we play 3 copies of Adhara. So Adhara in this deck is like the best one just because it's a Tenyi, and it's a tuner, and it's a vessel target. So being able to play through Nibiru just by having Adhara, usually like what I do is if I have Moye or Ecclesia, I'll try to start off with the standard Shishao plus Long Ying combo, and then if I get Nibiru, I'll drop the Adhara, make the Hulk, and then set up another play. So it can be quite powerful, and I think that this card is definitely a mandatory 3 of, especially in this version of the deck. So that's it for the monster starters. And then we just have 3 emergence. So obviously this is going to get you to your Long Yon. This is going to get you to your Moye, your Taye, any of them. So nothing much to say about that. Sometimes I do use the effect to reduce levels to be able to go into Yazi. It does come up sometimes, or Xiaofeng to go up a level. And we're going to go into our superior extenders. So superior extenders, just searchable cards, or cards that are good with very bare minimal setup. So we have 3 Long Yon, of course. This is pretty stable. I was playing 2 of this for a little while just because I didn't want to discard as much, and like I didn't really want to start my play with this card. So sometimes you lose just by like you make a flare, and then like even if they hand trap you, naked they hand trap, your board is very weak, and you lose to a singular droplets. So but now that Protoss is gone, I just feel like there's not a better card to search without bricking on stuff. So 3 Long Yon, and then of course we have the Tenyis, 3 Ashuna, and 3 Vishuddha. So yeah, obviously these are our extenders to go into Hulk. They're also level 7 names. Vishuddha is also really good going second. And then to pair those off, we have 3 copies of Vessel of the Dragon Cycle. So this card like fell out of favor when Swordsoul first came out. Just because like a lot of people didn't like it. It is true that this card just doesn't really do anything by itself. It kind of requires you to have a combo piece. But I wanted my deck to have the higher ceiling, and having a higher ceiling means playing a little bit more inconsistency in your deck to have a higher result. So Vessel is one of those cards that it can be a brick, but what I like about it is that if you have your Moye plus your extra worm and you're making your play, and then you get Nibiru, Vessel just automatically gets your board entirely back. So it kind of acts like Soul Charge in that instance, just because you're going to be sending an Ashuna, adding an Adhara, especially an Adhara, making a Hulk, going into your Yazi line, also making an Arclight, and being able to end on 2 negates is pretty good. So yeah, we play 3 Vessel for that. I think the card is a bomb, and you just want to see it and pair it with the Tenyi as much as you can. So that's it for the superior extenders. And now I'm going to get into the additional extenders. I play one copy of Monster Reborn and one copy of 1-for-1. So the reason why I play these cards is because I think Monster Reborn is just a very good card, especially with DPE in the format. It kind of acts like a non-engine card, stealing their DPE, as well as being able to reborn, worm cards back, summoning back, Shishaos or Long Yings can be quite powerful. Fleur, same thing. 1-for-1's good because not only can you summon a Shuna to make into a monk, you get a non-effect monster on the field, you can go into Hulk, you can do a lot of things, but also if you go into your Hulk play and it gets stopped, you can 1-for-1 out the death spot and keep on going anyway. It creates binary decisions, and I like being able to have that extra push. So that's it for the additional extenders. I do want to note that a lot of people are playing cards like Emergency Teleport. When I started playing the Hulk combo and I showed it on Kawhi's channel, I'm so angry, I actually did play Ready Fusion and Instant Fusion and Emergency Teleport. However, after further testing, I just didn't like those cards because of the fact that Ghost Ogre isn't the best in the format, and I felt like I was drawing a brick more than I was drawing a hand trap. And also, after your Hulk combo is gone, and then the cards just become meaningless. So I just didn't really like it, to be honest with you. It just didn't really fit the mold of the deck, and especially if the card's not good in the matchup, you just have to side them all out, and it just makes for weird side decking. So I actually don't play any of those cards, and I just stick to the Tenyis, try to play a standard Swordsoul deck, but if the Hulk play comes up, it just acts as another push. So then we have what's called proactive lowering cards. I play 2 of them, also known as Floodgates. We play 2 Rivalry of the Warlords. I think that Rivalry is just a very good card right now, being able to shut out a lot of decks that like go into Verte or just certain variants of different decks that like to combo off. It's pretty good against the Brave token stuff. So like they'll start with a fairy, and they can, if they have another fairy, I guess they can search the equip to bounce it, but not many decks are playing fairies right now. So it's very hard for them to get over this without going neg. So I really like Rivalry, and I'll continue to play it. I think it's also just really important to have a Floodgate in your deck. So if you're playing like your pure Swordsoul strategies, you can get away with playing Rivalry. Just another reason I strayed away from like Emergency Teleport, more cards that conflicted with this. So I just wanted to blow up my opponent's Rivalry as much as I could. Then we have reactive lowering cards. So we're going to have 3 droplets for that. And then we're also going to have 2 infinite impermanence. And then finally, we have 1 Swordsoul Blackout. So I'm only on the 1 Blackout. I don't think that the second one really comes up, especially I'm not playing Desires, so I don't really have to ever risk the one being banished. And of course, it does come up with like having it engraved and being able to banish Taye, dodging Imperm. So I just wanted cards like to negate DP, make sure I could just shuffle it back with Boxia rather, and just get it out of rotation. And I think it's been paying off pretty well. So that's it for that. And then I have 3 consistency cards. So believe it or not, I actually am on Pot of Prosperity. So I was even playing this while Desires was at 3. I think that this card is just the better card because in this deck, you want to pair your resources with other resources. You don't really want to be drawing random cards. You want to be drawing specific cards. Like the drawing into more Moyes doesn't really do anything. Drawing into a Long Yon when you already have it doesn't really do anything. I'd rather banish cards that I don't need from my extra deck to see specific cards where you forego the draw from Moye. I'm not even playing the Synchro that draws a card. I just think that the better cards are cards like Vessel, cards that aren't really searchable throughout your combos, so you want to be able to pair them as much as possible. And it also helps you see Floodgates and bombs as much as possible as well. So without being able to search a bomb with Protos, you want to be able to kind of like dig for them with your Prosperity. So that's why I play that as my consistency. Then my 1 bomb in the main deck is Harpy's Feather Duster, just not losing to Mystic Mine or Floodgates or playing through Fogblades. Just a randomly good card against Eldlik. And then 001, of course, for our 1 placeholder card, the 1 brick that we have to play in order for this combo to work out. Then I'll go into the extra deck. Of course, people are playing the Tenyis, so we're playing 2 Monk of the Tenyi, and then I'm pairing that with 1 Shaman. I like Shaman. I was even playing a more extended version of the combo for a little while. For a bit, I was actually including the 1 Draco Master and the 1 Tenyi Spirit Sara. So this was more or less for D-Barrier, because when you get D-Barriered, when you have like Vessel plus any Tenyi, you could pretty much make Sahashara because what would happen is you would just end up going in to your Shaman line, Shaman bring out Draco Masters, and then when you would have any extender, you would just make this, and I believe Halk also makes this as well. So you would just be able to put up big bodies and be able to not die for a turn, and then your following turn, like summon a Taie and try to like OTK it that way. So it was just like basically using link monsters to get over the D barrier problem. But because D barrier is not going to be as played, since Swordsoul is kind of fallen out of the spotlight, so to speak, I just decided to not play those cards and just stick with the shortened package of the 2 Monk and the 1 Shaman. And then I play, of course, the Hulk package with Hulkify, Rex, and Auroradon. This should be standard by now. I don't think there's even any reasons to not play it. Like, just by including 1 bad card in your deck, you can increasing your ceiling exponentially. I know a lot of prominent players play this at the Remote Duel YCS. Personally, I was able to get to day 2 and 1 win away from getting top 32, but couldn't pull through and ended up losing on the bubble. And then I did play the side event of the Giant card, and I got top 4, losing to the mirror match. So, but Hulk was also really good. Like, I never really lost because of Hulk. I actually lost because of Desires when I used to play Desires, so that's why I ended up switching to Prosperity. So, of course, the 1 Hulk and the 1 Auroradon for that. And then we got some Synchro monsters to start off. Going from low level to high, we got 1 Herald of the Arclight. This should be standard as well, in my opinion. Not a lot of people don't play this, but I think this is more valuable than having like another level 10, just because having another level 10 doesn't really do much. I think that Baron and Longying are just already really amazing cards. So having a card that you can summon early on in your combo when you open a Shuna, plus any tuner extender to go into Hulk, like it just adds an extra negate. It also makes droplets really weird, so your opponent not being able to droplets by sending monsters from their hand is really key, and they might have to pitch like, you know, really good spells. So once they start pitching really good spells, like their hand's very limited in what they can do. So I don't know, I consider it playing around droplets. So yeah, I really like this card. I would keep it in. Then we got some level 7s. Of course, we got Yazi. Yazi is the bread and butter of the Auroradon combo. You're using Auroradon to pop your own Yazi, and yeah, usually works out. And then for the 8s, we got 1 Boxia. Only can fit 1 with this version of the deck. Like, you can't really play 2 just because you're playing a lot of flex. So I think 1 is enough. And then we got 2 Shishao. I very rarely make the second, and I'm low-key thinking of cutting the second, but usually I just banish it off Prosperity if you know, I don't really need it. Then I'm on 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. Draco Berserker is like the only thing you can make under the restriction of Shaman, so I continue to play it. It's not too bad. It doesn't come up too much, but sometimes when you're trying to poke for game, you can make a really beefy Draco Berserker, and it works out. So that's good. Also, you can banish like DPE, stuff like that. So it's good. And then 1 Savage Dragon. So yeah, this version of the deck can pretty much make Savage. I don't make it all the time, but I think it's good for when you need to get over big monsters with your level 8 Synchro. So you can use Savage, equip Auroradon, and it goes up over 4,000. So I think it's worth playing just for that. And then for our lone level 9, we got Xiao Fang, Phantom of the Yang Zing. Of course, we're trying to lock out lights. And then we got 1 Baron de Fleur to pop, and then the 1 Shang Ying to banish. Like I said, I try to make this card as often as possible, especially like in the mirror match. What you used to be able to do is like summon Shang Ying or Protoss Cold Water. But I still think this card is correct making against the mirror match, just because everyone plays Tenyis, and you want to be able to banish them as soon as possible, just because that's how they end up winning. They have a Boxia, they make a second push, they dump the Moye, they summon it back. So you just can't let that to happen. Like if they have Nibiru, they have Nibiru, but like Nibiru's like can only be a 3 of in their deck, whereas like the Tenyis are a full package. So I'd rather play against the 10 cards rather than play against the 3 cards. So yeah, but that's it for the extra deck. That's it really for the deck. People are playing around the wrong cards, and they will soon understand why this is the better version of the deck. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to share my list. I think that it's very similar to how it used to be played, but now you're just trying to make as many pushes as possible rather than just go into Protoss. You know, you're just trying to like play through back row, and on a simple combo, add follow-up. That's really all you want to do. And yeah, it doesn't do anything too spectacular, but you'll always play the game, and it'll always be all right. So, anyway, guys, this is Draco Backpack Sack 22 signing off for now. Coming to you with more content soon. See you soon. Bye.